We good?
Yeah.
All right, there we go. This one, all the last ones we've had at least some help.
Yeah.
Now this one was solely on me to set up, which I think we did. And we waited
we
towards
did,
more of
you
the...
did.
I did. And we made it more towards the evening to record this. And so let me check one more thing. I forgot to check. Yep, I got audio levels.
Yep.
And we're recording.
I'm good.
On our size. There we go.
I'm good.
See? It's not too hard. The lengths we do to provide this weekly show is something else. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Beyond I Do. Here we are recording our podcast once again in our backyard.
We said we were going to have some special guests, but hey, special guest is myself and my husband.
And maybe our dog, Rooster, who's drinking from our faucet right now, so he might do a guest appearance as well. We're so glad you guys could join us again.
Yes.
Second episode in the backyard.
Yeah.
Hopefully audio quality has been pretty decent.
Yeah. Before you head out for the week.
Yes. Yeah. I'm going to some golf tournaments.
Yeah, that should be fun.
Yeah.
Keep up your tan.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, gosh.
Golfing with our dog is having a water attack right now. He had too much water. So we had, I'm golfing this week with a couple of organizations and our friends. Arizona one, Colorado in the other.
Yeah, Colorado should be beautiful, though.
One with our good friends at ARC, who church plant.
Yep.
And then the second with our other good friend, John and Lisa Bevere, and the whole Bevere clan.
Oh, yeah.
Is holding a golf tournament for their organization, too.
Yeah.
So, two incredible. John Bevere, they get the gospel out to all countries. And everything like that. Put the words of his book in languages and everything. And then ARC plants churches all across the world, really. So, we're glad you guys could join us for Beyond I Do as we maybe do a part 2 to what we talked about in our last episode. So if you haven't caught our last episode, and I just want to give people, go on that last episode, comment to us.
And I got a couple text messages. People really enjoyed it.
Oh, they liked it? Oh,
they
good,
did.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was reflecting on it because obviously we don't ever sometimes we plan our episodes and go throughout the week. We'll be like, oh, we could talk about this or whatever. And then other times we just throw ideas out at each other. So with that last episode, I don't ever like going in with hey, this is what I want out of the conversation. Because then it feels a little too contrived.
Right.
So then I was reflecting after, and I was like, man, I was happy with what we talked about because I felt like for people who were stepping into faith, which that was the point,
right,
was to then be able to tap into some really practical things that they could do if they're stepping into church with their family, with their spouse or boyfriend or girlfriend. And so at first I was like, oh man, was it a little too shallow? Mm-hmm. Could we have gone a little deeper? And you can always go deeper.
Right. And
then I'm like, no, I think I'm happy with the type of people we wanted to encourage in that last episode.
Right.
Which was the really people early on in their faith.
Yeah. The one thing that we should have added, now that I'm thinking about it, is we should have added that obviously if you, because we have some people that don't physically go to the church, but they watch online, but somehow because they live far or whatnot. So I met somebody who was a part of our running group, and she's like, I work out here, but I live so far, I can't go to church on Sunday, so I watch online. But one thing we could have said is because we are starting a new sprint at the church, which was learn how to read your Bible.
Yeah, read your Bible, study your Bible.
Study your Bible. So that was something that we could have added in to make sure that people sign up for, or just because you guys give some practical context to that, and that's very practical because a lot of people
they don't live near, so that one's not going to be online yet.
Well, it's not going to be online, but what I'm saying is how the girl doesn't live near, she's in the area on Tuesdays.
Oh, I see.
So she would stay for the run club. She was like, I would just kill time. I would go grab something to eat and then go to the run club just to be a part of community. Yeah. But then on the weekends, because I work Sundays as well, and I watch on Wednesdays and Sundays when I can.
Yeah.
If you're in the area on Tuesdays.
That one we're going to put online way faster than maybe our men's sprint or our women's sprint, because they have to go through and edit all of them. Yeah. But this sprint we're going to do in August, 5 weeks of how to read your Bible, that'll help people as well, because a lot of people sit down, marriages, relationships. You're stepping into like you want to study, grow closer with God, either on your own or with your spouse. But the Bible could be a little intimidating.
Very, yeah.
Because you don't know what's being said or what books mean. And so, we're going to do 5 weeks about that. So that'll probably go online relatively early on, probably maybe 30 or 60 days after we do it. So that we can push probably by October, November, something people could do to study their Bible on their own. So, I was thinking that. And then I was thinking like all the, like we tend to not do much of like talk too much about the stereotypes, which are what we encourage people to do just normally, which is like, you pray with your spouse or you pray for your spouse, have your kids recite prayers, have your kids pray, like just stuff like that as your family's growing closer with God, that's what I would say is like the stereotypical response. Anyone who's going to step into faith is probably going to lead with those things or start doing those things. But so those will obviously help. And so when we were done, I was like, we could have added that stuff, but I feel like what we did add was good value.
It was. I really do. I think it was
obviously great. Hindsight's 20/20. So when we're always done filming these episodes, I'm like, there's that. We could have talked about it. But that's what I like about the podcast we produce, which is like, there are other great ones, but they sit down and they build a rhythm of what they're going to talk about and how they're going to talk about it and what points they're going to make. And I love that. But we've always taken the approach that the Beyond the Letter, quote unquote, franchise of podcasts, Beyond I Do, our future podcast we're going to produce later on in a couple months, is more so like that conversation you would have at the lunch table with your friend. So I don't know how many times I've left my friend having dinner or lunch and they've asked for advice and I gave it, and then later on that night I'm like, I could have said this or added that. And that's kind of more of the approach we want to give the human side of the podcast.
Absolutely.
Not the like teacher preacher side.
Right.
Which are fun.
Right. And
which
it's
are
also
fun, but we just don't take that approach.
Yeah, and then we don't also take the approach of like, we're going to give it all to you. Like you said, you're going to think about it. It makes you think like, what do I do? Do I need to refreshen in this area? Or maybe this area was lacking or I didn't think about that. So I think that's the thing that I think is awesome. It gives you more context and it also makes you think. Because it makes us think even too. Like, we're like, oh man, I should have said that.
Yeah. So in the same vein as we talked about, there's the guest appearance by my dog Rooster in the back, who you normally see you hear him on the side of our podcast, but since he's in his own domain, he's going to be roaming around. On that same vein, talking about how to support your spouse, in terms of church and growing in their faith, we thought we'd do a part 2, which we couldn't get anyone because it's a Sunday evening and I take a flight early tomorrow morning. So we were like last minute trying to get one of the friends to come over to our house, and it's Sunday, so they're all chilling. I'm not working on Sundays right now for the past couple of Sundays, so we're free on Sunday night. But we talk about as we support church or faith, go to that next level, which tend to go hand in hand, not in the same equal of importance, but tend to be some of the most difficult hurdles people face, which is number one, a hurdle people face is getting into a rhythm of growing in their faith, going to church with their family, bringing their children to family. That takes a lifestyle change. It's a routine. Same thing is fitness. Like that takes lifestyle change. That takes a routine. And so there's a common saying that a lot of people say, which is like faith, family, fitness. Like those are kind of the three F's of like really healthy living. Like a person who wants to see a lot of sustainability in their health, it's always encouraged like, hey, where are you at in the three F's? Where are you at in your faith? Where are you at with your family? Where are you at with your fitness? So what I thought we'd talk about then is some like practical conversations around supporting your spouse in the area of the fitness. And over the years, you and I have kind of like individually kind of upped and down. And so I thought we'd talk about, so you want to take us first, like a little bit about your own personal journey in fitness. Just start like the what a lot of people don't know contextually is like you were a professional soccer player. Yeah. So you went to pretty much the highest level of playing soccer that you can, which is being paid to play. Professionally. That's it. You had up until you were like 20, you played for the United States national team. So you traveled all around the world. And you represented USA across, many continents and countries. And so for majority of your life, you have stayed pretty fit until then you get married. And like, even when you were dating, you had insecurities, but they weren't valid insecurities. Then you get married and
child,
that freshman 15
maybe mine was like 30.
30 or 40 or 50 or what?
Mine was up there. It kept going and going. It literally, our honeymoon, I was just like, when our honeymoon hit, I was just like, how am I happy? I'm just gaining all this weight. Like happy in love, but then like really looking in the mirror like, oh my God, get it together, girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, when it came to, obviously you said my fitness, fitness was never something that I thought about until I was done with soccer. Staying fit, just because I always played soccer. So being fit and playing soccer, being in shape was never a thought in my mind that I had to worry about. It was never something that I was like, oh man, if I'm not on the soccer field, if I'm not on the pitch, if I'm not doing laps or running. Because the one thing about me is at that point in time in college, I hated running. That was one thing I picked a sport. It was between volleyball and soccer. And I was like, oh, I want to do soccer. I don't know why, thinking back, without as much running it is. But all that to say, now fast forward, I'm married and I'm trying to figure out this new life of fitness. Because, I mean, we did CrossFit and everything together. Like you said, I still had some of my dumb insecurities. But one of the things that as an athlete and coming out of it that kind of caught up with me is I'm not able to eat whatever I want like I used to. I was training. Oh my gosh. We would train basically 6 hours a day, but they were split 2 in the morning and then 2.5 to 3 hours or 4 hours in the afternoon in college. And then running continuous 3 hour practices for professional. So I never had to really worry about what I consumed because I was burning so many calories. So that was never a thought of nutrition and learning those things on that end. So now after I'm getting married, I'm like, oh my gosh, I really have to focus on my fitness. I have to focus on my health. And I decided in my mind, I'm going to kill myself in the gym because that's what I knew, and eat whatever I want. Because as an athlete, for me, I technically was able to eat whatever I wanted. There was never, we had our nutritionists and everything like that. Well, you should eat better. You should eat that. But I'm like, I'm burning so many calories. It really doesn't matter. A burger and all that, that's not going to do anything. So, and along with the wanting to do that, then age is starting to catch up with me. And so I'm starting to get thicker hips and wider hips and areas is going bigger that I didn't want bigger. So when it came to really trying to focus on my fitness, you had always been a support on the front end because you just knew how intense I was with anything that I do and how competitive I am with anything that I do. And a lot of people will be like, why don't you like working out with people? And it came to the realization when I was working out with you, which is so crazy, in Tulum, is I don't like working out with people because I'm competitive. I don't want to work out to compete. I don't want to compete anymore. And I'm in that mindset of like, if we're at the gym together or we do Orange Theory, I'm going to beat you. And that's that's just how I'm wired. So I'd rather just enjoy me competing against me because that's an accomplishment for myself because I'm at this next season of my life where I don't want to compete anymore. I just want to enjoy. And I enjoy competing with myself and pushing myself, not myself to beat you because I'm going to beat you.
Right.
Yeah. So, but when it came to my fitness and you supporting me in that area, you always did anything that I wanted to do, anything that I desired.
Well, and ours, I don't know. Every marriage is different. I think that's the great thing about sharing on this podcast is like you recognize, number one, how similar you are to maybe some couples, some of the couples we talk to on the podcast, or you recognize and see, oh man, that marriage is really different from mine, good way or bad way. It just is preference way, right?
Right.
And to me, for us, a clear example would be that, and we kind of talked about the last podcast with Nancy, is like we have a very straightforward marriage because it was funny when we were, we did a marriage curriculum, and the dog Rooster
come.
We did this like a marriage curriculum, and then we went and filmed like the befores and afters of the marriage curriculum, and there was like at one point we were filming these like the closing of this marriage curriculum, and like you kept messing up.
Oh my gosh!
And there was a whole camera crew, makeup artist and all that stuff like that. And everybody's like, it's okay, Ash, you got this, blah, 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 blah. And then I come in, I'm like, stop wasting everyone's time. We all didn't come here to hear you mistake. Like, you knew this day was coming for months. If you didn't prepare for it, like, this is on you, blah, 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 blah. And everybody's eyes and their mouth is just like, I can't believe he's talking to his wife like that. And I pick up in the room that I could tell everyone's thinking that.
Yeah. Like, how is he talking?
And I was like,
that?
wait, guys, like, I'm actually a really good cheerleader. Ashley was a professional athlete.
Yeah.
This is the way she responds.
Yeah.
So you have to talk to her like a coach. And coaches don't coddle.
No.
Coaches, oh, you sweetie, it's okay. Let's give you one more. I'm like, what are you doing? You're wasting all of our time.
Yeah.
No, why don't you prepare? Blah,
Get
blah,
it
blah.
together.
So being married, one of the things I learned from you is like, if I coddle you, like, you may respond, but it won't do anything for you mentally.
Right.
Like, so if you're just like, oh, I feel so fat right now, or I feel so overweight, and I'm just like, oh, babe, you're beautiful. I love you the way you are. Like, you're just like, shut up. I know it's not true. Blah, 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 blah. Not that I don't love you, but you just, you're like, you're like, I know it's not true that you're saying that. I'm perfect the way this is, right?
Right.
So instead, like in our marriage and early on,
it's because you know me enough to know if I'm complaining about something, you think I'm beautiful regardless. But if it's something that you know that I desire, you're like, go for it then.
Yeah.
If that's it's going to make you happy, do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's never really bothered me so much. But when we first got married, kind of things reversed because, you put on maybe, I can't remember, 30 or 40 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, you broke the 200
I did.
weight mark, right? We're
It's
almost
okay.
the same weight.
Hey.
Yeah.
Voluptuous and beautiful, but I was tight in them jeans, girl.
Yeah. And not to make fun of, not to bring up anyone that's over 200, but for you who was, I think when we met, you were probably 160 and then we got married or near marriage, you were like 170 or something. And then first year of marriage, you're finishing your master's degree. We're going out to In-N-Out a lot and all these things. We're not worried about anything. And for me at that time, I'm like religiously doing CrossFit.
Yes.
So I'm up at 6 a.m. every day.
Yeah.
I'm working out.
You were training other people?
Yeah, I was training other people. My friend Nate at the time, he was a strength and conditioning coach. So he and I were working out almost every day in my garage. And so here I was, 210, 215. I had lost, I think maybe 30 pounds the year we got married. I really overdrived it. And then you're coming in, you're just like, we're almost the same weight.
Yeah. Oh.
And you hated that.
Oh my gosh.
And so my response though was like, hey, if you don't like the way your body looks, you should do something about it. Because I thought you were beautiful, but it was getting really annoying for me. And it wasn't until you and I, and during that same time, we were working on like figuring out our communication styles being married. And one of the things we found out is we would sit down by ourselves together. One of the things I shared was, I don't like that you're like covering yourself, hiding yourself.
Muumuus.
And you would wear muumuus and shawls.
Cardigans and
I
all
knew
of
it wasn't a style thing. It was like an insecurity thing. And I told you like, it's starting to bother me the way that you're covering yourself because I think you're beautiful.
Right.
But you don't think that. And so therefore, it's messing with me because I don't know where your insecurity and then our intimacy, you wanting all the lights turned off. And I'm like, I didn't sign up for marriage to, you're okay, dude. I didn't sign up for marriage to have you. Rooster, leave it. I didn't sign up for marriage to have you, turn off all the lights when we're intimate or be insecure or anything like that. And so that's what really bothered me. So I was sitting down with you and I just provided that honest feedback. It's like, hey, I think you got to do something about this. I think you got to build a new rhythm. I'll support you however. You want to get a membership, but like I'm not enjoying this level of your insecurity, right? To me, you were great. Which
was fair.
Now, if your body did bother me at all, I probably would have shared that in a very loving way.
Right.
But it really didn't.
Yeah.
But for you, it was just all in your psyche.
It really was. And it was something too, because I would make comments to you too, because, and this is naturally and how women view their body and what is an insecurity and what isn't. And I had always like, I tell you, like one thing I always prided myself on was like having great abs. And that was something that I had desired. And I obviously had thicker thighs and stuff. That was what was powerful for me for soccer and everything like that. But it was statements that I would tell you that I was getting a lot where everyone was like, your hind end's growing.
Girls would say, like women in the church would be like, girl, you got a big old butt.
You got a big old
I get that butt.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
like,
you come home crying from church sometimes. And I'd be like, babe, they mean it well. And you're like, I know, but I don't want a big butt.
Yeah, that's not I was like, normally it's a toned one, but a big one? What?
Yeah.
There's a difference. But when it came to you even just supporting the choice for me to work out, we still, even in that time too, had to find a healthy rhythm because fortunate for us in that time, we didn't have kids. So we both kind of had freedom at that time. Yeah. But then now adding kids into the scenario with our health and fitness, we even had to endure a couple of hurdles because I would become selfish with that and become a tick for tack sort of thing because I'm a type of person, if I don't work out in the morning, I'm not working out. And you know that. Like if I'm not up by 6 o'clock working out, majority of the time it's not going to happen. It's very rare that I'm going to work out in the evening. And you know that. And I try to work out before the boys wake up. And that was something. And there was a season where you told me you were going to start getting fit. And so then I'm amped. I'm like, all right, we're going to get fit together, blah, blah, blah. We're going to do this. And then you'd be like, okay, I'm going to the gym. And I'd be like, okay, then after you go to the gym, you watch the kids so I can go to the gym. And you're like, why is your routine changing now all of a sudden? Because I want to work out. Yeah. Why can't you still work out in the morning while the boys are asleep? Which made perfect sense because, I mean, half the time the boys went to school, or it was, I'll work out when you come home from work. And you're like...
Yeah, you'd be like, here's the kids. Yes. And I'm like, I just got home. And I'm like, why don't you, Matthias takes a 2-hour nap in the afternoon. Why don't you work out then? And you'd be like, well, because I'm watching Matthias and I'm tired and I'm going to rest in at that time. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, but I don't get 2 hours at work of just rest. Right. And it's not that we did catch ourselves doing that tick for tack, but that is healthy conversations in marriage. Absolutely. To be like, hey, let's really talk about like what's fair and what's right and what's necessary. Right. Because you now no longer, which was given, you were tired because you were a new mother. Yeah. So you didn't want to do it in the mornings because you're like, oh, I'm tired, blah, 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 blah. And it was like, okay, that makes sense. But, there is some time, because you weren't going to the gym. You were just working out on a Peloton or whatever at home. So it was like, and so then I stopped working out because I was like, wow, this is just, it's not fun. Because then I come home from work, if I want to work out or if I want to work out in the morning, whatever that is, you'd immediately be like, okay, my turn. And I'm like, well, I just did 8 hours today, or I worked 10 hours today. Right. It's not, I go work out for an hour. That's my 11th hour. Then I'm watching the kid for 12 hours, it's like, hey, that's not the way it should be, right? When in that sense where the communication came down to is I'll work out in the morning and you start working out in the evening or whatever that looked like. And then we have our family time together because that was something that you were really focused on, is making sure that we could still be together and it not being on separate schedules where you're at work or not there, or you're at the gym. So it was a lot of communication when it came down to how we can get into a rhythm. And it came down to, I just have to work out in the mornings. And that was just something that I just naturally know because that works for me. Yeah. I in the evening, I'm like, it's shot. And at that point, I done ate the whole cabinet. And so the point of me working out, I'm like, now I got to I had this many calories throughout the day. Now I got to burn this many off. That's my mindset. I know that's not right, but that's how I looked at things. I'm like, you burn more calories when you wake up and work out in the morning is what I think. For us though, but you've always, cause I don't, it's very rare that and I would say this since our honeymoon, I don't think, and it's very rare. I think the one I could count, maybe the time I got sick was the only time I stopped working out. I have not worked out since the time you told me to, hey, let's get it together. Mm-hmm. So there's never been a time though through that you haven't discouraged me or supported me in my fitness journey. There hasn't been anything where you've been like, oh, you're getting too muscular or you're too focused on it. I've never put
fitness or anything above family, because you know also too that hour is me time.
Yeah. Yeah.
My hour is that, and that's what I love. And that's one thing that, because we even talked about it on the last podcast where you had said, like, you knew that's what I wanted to do that morning. And you were like, get an hour in. Was it inconvenient? Yeah, a little bit. Did the boys want breakfast? Yeah. Should she have made breakfast before? Yeah. But you made it make sense, and you allowed me to work out. And most of the time too, like if it's just random, I'd be like, hey, do you mind if I work out right now? And you're like, yeah, we're just chilling. Go ahead. And it's not to say I need your permission, but I also think that it's healthy communication, because there was a time, I want to say it was right before your sabbatical. I think I had said like, hey, I want to work out. And you said, hey, I just want you to lay with me. Like, I think we were watching a movie, remember? And the kids weren't home or anything. And I was like, I think I want to do an hour of working out. And you're like, the kids aren't home. Let's just hang out and let's watch a movie.
Possibly. Yeah. I don't remember. But that sounds like that's something that but it wasn't discourage me
to like not work out, but it was something like, hey, like you're fine. It wasn't something, because you never too, when you come with your health and fitness, you never want to idolize it either. And so sometimes I've had to find this healthy balance for myself. Recently someone challenged me. I was at this, I was in Colorado. I was with, the Young Guns.
Yeah.
With Brad Lomenick and the whole group. And I was rooming with a young girl, a woman. And I was telling her like, hey, oh man, I haven't worked out since I've been here. And I was like, I think I'm going to do the hike in the morning. And she was like, so then the question that came next, because I said I wanted to work out and then I want to do the hike in the morning. She goes, are you doing the hike to take in all of God's beauty, or are you doing it to work out? And I was like, to work out? And she was like, I think you should change your perspective on certain things. She was like, you look great. She started to encourage me in that sense, but it also made a realization where I feel like God placed her in that moment to realize, like, I'm in this beautiful area.
And was one of these girls like a professional athlete?
She is the weightlifting champion of the world.
No, CrossFit.
No, champion. Not CrossFit. Not Carrie. The weightlifting. Abby.
Okay.
Yes.
Powerlifter.
Powerlifter.
Yeah,
literally.
Okay.
Amazing.
Yeah.
She's sweetest person ever. And I'm like, younger than me, checked me, and I was like, yeah. And she's like, what's it? We got to hike up this big old trail. You're getting a workout. Yeah. What is it? Why?
Yeah.
And it really humbled me to really have a reflection on working out, to not overthink it, to enjoy it, to enjoy the fact that I get to work out, to enjoy that God gave me the ability to work out, to see where my body has gone through and the things that I have pushed myself through, and to know that I've endured having 2 kids, and to not idolize it, because I think sometimes too I could get into that season of life where I just want to work out and I want this fitness and I want that and I want that, and I always have to sit back and reflect and say, for what? My husband loves me, my kids love me, I'm healthy.
If it's not motivated to be healthy and to have health and to like pursue like a figure that you feel confident, instead of what some people tend to make it is their God, just like anything else. I mean, I've been with people before that they're like, come 7:00, they're like, oh, I'm exhausted, and they're not present. I'm like, why are you so exhausted? And they're like, oh, well, I woke up at 5 this morning, and then they start to like perk up and almost puff their chest on all the fitness they did that morning, and I'm like, but by 7-8 o'clock you're not even present. Like okay, so I'm so glad you got your routine in, but now everyone you're around, like, you're not even available.
Right.
You're exhausted.
Right.
Like, oh, it's 8 o'clock. Sorry guys, got to go to bed. And it's like, you knew this day was coming. You couldn't have taken a day off, or you couldn't gone like, oh, no, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And so there, just like anything else, there can be, abuse of these things. There can, you could go over the edge with these things, but, and I think in marriage, it's important, kind of in all kind of hobbies and interests, to kind of be a voice of reason for your spouse and an encouragement to be like, hey, let's take today off, or no, you need to do that. You need to, that's really good for you. Like, even for me, the past year, going through and mine, and I've shared it on Beyond the Letter, like my thing happened more the opposite. It was more of a health thing. My like mental clarity and my stamina and all these things like that started having issues, and our intimacy starting having issues. Because though I'm young in my 30s, I lead a church that's one of the largest in America, so that's very stressful with staff and finances and all that kind of stuff like that. And so it affected my hormones and my health and all that kind of stuff. And I gained, I put all weight because stress. So I hit almost like 265, 267, which was the biggest I'd ever been, the heaviest I'd ever been. And so it affected my testosterone and all my glands and all that stuff like that. And so, not only as of late getting on like more of a regular working out, and eating healthy routine, it was also then like going on like a hormone balance shots as well. And so taking 6 to 7 shots a week, and evenings taking shots, and, having to prioritize, because all my shots have to be refrigerated. And so when we travel, I got to put it in like a lunch pail and all these things like that. But over this year, like, you didn't, because I think it's easy for a guy who, if he has to take testosterone or he has to take other, supplemented hormone balancers, like it could be really easy to feel like less of a man. And as my wife, like you could have easily joked about that or not purposely, but through humor, or just like, oh, this is so annoying, or, why do we, TSA, I get stopped every time and they have to go through the medicine and all that. And you could sit there and you could easily roll your eyes, be like, this is so annoying. This is so an inconvenience. Or at night, sometimes I'm laying in bed. I'm like, oh, I forgot to take my shots. Let me run downstairs. Or a couple times I've asked you to help me with my shots. And you're like, and you have to get up out of bed. And, you have to put alcohol on me. And then just either other stuff, like me stepping into juicing or whatever, like you haven't rolled your eyes, or you haven't, just try to belittle either me or just the process of everything I'm having. You could be like, why don't you just go work out, Adam? Why do you got to be, because we counsel people, and that's kind of how it is. Spouses just, and you and I talk to each other straight up in a way that we communicate, but like we don't belittle each other.
Right.
And there are marriages that they say, oh yeah, we talk straight up too. And they're like calling each other stupid and, gorda and all these things. And you're just like, and they're meaning it from like, not a cutesy place, meaning it from like a very sincere, like kind of more of like a hated place. So that's not there for us. But it could be, like statements could have been that way. And so I think in supporting your spouse is whatever they feel like they need to be healthy. Like there has to be support there. And even spouses who have, like, we've seen a lot, because my dad had stage 4 cancer, and my mom over the years did a great job at like just removing stuff. It wasn't really hard for my dad because my dad's really driven, but we have worked with couples before who get diagnosed and diagnosed of some type of terminal illness. They may go the holistic way that my dad did. And so then you got to remove all artificial sugars and you got to redo your whole fridge and your lifestyle and all this stuff. And you know what some marriages sometimes say is like, well, that's good for you. That's what you could do, but I'm still going to buy brownies or buy ice cream and all this kind of, like, what you should have the power to say no to these things, but we're not going to stop our life. Right. And it's like, well, this person's terminal. Like the least everyone could do is support. If it's challenging for that person, like support, remove everything from the house so that start teaching your kids it is what it is. This is a terminal illness. Right. And when we talk about health and fitness and stuff, like it's support even to that degree. And so supporting your spouse if something's terminal or some type of illness in a healthy way, or they, maybe the man or the woman, mostly it's a lot of men, like start to have cholesterol issues or heart conditions. Like everybody needs to be a team to say like, hey, we're all gonna for a season remove all of this out of the house, out of our lifestyle. Like that's what really support for your spouse,
right? And not
looks like,
and not in a place of like, well, what did you think was gonna happen? You've been eating terrible, and all of this had, you know what I mean? Like, so the support is very necessary, and I think that we say it all the time. A husband and wife, you guys can tear each other down so quick. But when it comes to your health, you want to make sure, though, that it is a priority, because especially if you have kids, watching what you're consuming and watching what your kids are consuming. And that's one thing, because we are a snack family, and that's my fault 100%, because you're not a snacker at all. Like,
I like my meals.
I love a good app. I love a good chip before.
No. Well, literally, I'll be like about to start cooking, and Ashley will have around her on the couch like chips and like flaming hot Cheetos, and then like, you know, a drink and blah, blah, and I'll be like, I'm about to cook in like 30 minutes. And you're like, I know, you know, and you'll have like a little cookie or something, or the boys will come to us and be like, can you open this? And I'm like, guys, we're like we just ordered pizza. It's on its way over.
Well, that's what's so funny, because I got mad at them yesterday for doing the same thing. Like, when's our food coming? I want a snack. And I'm like, no, your food's on the way. And I'm like, I do that. So how can I be so mad? But that's one thing, like, obviously with changing, because that's what I'll say this. I still like, I will work out to eat a double, like anytime, any point in time. You know how to change your eating habits. Yeah. Quick.
Yeah.
I'm not. I am the one, like, but if I do tell you like, oh, I want to start eating healthy and blah, 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 like, I have no willpower. You come in and you're like, let's go get Wingstop. I'm like, all right, I'll work out 3 hours tomorrow. What's the big deal? But if you change, that means we all change. Yeah. It is, because you cook you cook 99.9% of our meals. And so for us, it does change, because you've changed since we've been back from our trip. I think we have one bag of chips, and I keep going on Instacart, like wanting to hit send. Yeah. But like, we have the fruit, we have the protein shakes, but it's good because it's something that our kids need too. Yeah. And that's something that we have to be mindful, because one thing we've talked about this too, is we don't really talk about health and fitness within our family or with the kids. They just see by example of us working out, and, oh, mommy's working out right now, can't go in the gym, or daddy's working out, let's not bother him. And I'm like, yeah. But when it comes to health, they've picked up on, I don't know if it's internet or what, but they'll be like, Mommy, is this healthy?
Yeah. Or they'll be eating an apple and they'll be like, Daddy, do you know apples are healthy for you?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, they are healthy for you. And he's like, chips aren't.
Chips aren't. And I'm like, and then the next day he has them. But there's no concept that he's just saying it's healthy, which it's true, but he doesn't know what unhealthy is. So, but it is good to have a good balance between the two, and to not discourage one. Well, that's on you. It's nice to bleed the two together, so that you do have, and I just think that's just in personality too with us. Like, our communication is great when it comes to certain things, like with our health and fitness. And when you decided to take this journey of health, I was really excited, just because I knew that when I had lost the weight, I was happier. And I knew that once the weight came off of you, you just have this different walk about you. You have this different posture about you. And it's not just the weight, it looking good that makes you feel good. It's knowing that you're lighter. It sounds crazy, but like, when you feel lighter, you feel freer, you feel less tired, you feel like you have more energy. Working out, obviously, we talked about boost the,
not oxytocin.
Y'all know what we're talking about.
Yeah, that chemical in your brain.
Yeah. And so that's something that I think everyone, even if it's just a walk, being active is something that I think can just help ignite a relationship, because there are a lot of people that I do know that work out together, and if that's something that you serotonin, and if that's something that you guys desire to do, talk about that and work out together. Like, I enjoyed working out with you because you do all the powerlifting stuff that I don't want to do, and I don't do, and there was no, in that moment, there was no comparison. But I will say, one thing that I want to share with Adam, he's such a supporter when it comes to just me in general, because I remember when we did do CrossFit, you were like, you can do this. Mm-hmm. Like, you were like, in our head, like, you were like, oh, you can go in CrossFit.
You can go pro.
You can go pro. Yeah. Like, you have never were jealous of my stature, my what I could do, or the athleticism that I had. It was always from an encouraging point of view. And so I just think that that's just such an awesome thing, because sometimes I feel like there was this video that went viral of this woman who was about to win a marathon. I think it was a marathon, and there was controversial.
Oh, right.
I think we talked about that.
We never talked. Oh, maybe we did. Yeah.
And the husband, I think we were going to.
We talked about it in life, maybe, but not on the podcast.
And how there was the woman was about to cross the line running a marathon. Her husband had the 2 kids, or the daughter at the end.
2 daughters.
2 daughters at the end. He was holding one. Well, he pushes the daughter out
to go run up and give the mom a hug before she finishes.
Yes. And so a lot of people in the comments were saying,
the mom pushes the daughter out so that she could finish her race.
Yes.
And then the husband looks back at a family member. They're out of frame, almost like, why did she do that? What's her problem?
And a lot of people in the comments, and some people even stitched it, basically saying that the husband was wrong for that, knowing that she has trained hard, she's worked hard, and the thing that you thought was at that moment to do, not her finish the race first, but to throw your kid out there to hug and almost deter her from finishing strong.
Yeah.
And how sometimes that her point of view,
or making it about the daughter to be, and that's probably for another podcast, but that's the idea of your kids come before everything. And no, you're in many ways, your kids don't come before everything. I get what they mean by that, the priority of children and the response. But in that moment, to think, what a beautiful memory for that daughter to have, to run up to mom, and mom maybe pick her up and carry across the finish line. But the other perspective too is the daughter was never there on training days, waking up in the morning and whatever this mom had to sacrifice to do to cross that finish line, whether it was for place or just doing a marathon and crossing in general is a win. And so it's this idea that, the concept which I understood from people was let the wife as a mom, as just a person who accomplished something, finish their accomplishment without having to prioritize anyone or anything else in that sense. And that I understand. That's but other people on the flip side were no, you could have just picked up your daughter or whatever. And it's but when you just ran 26 miles, thinking of priority of your kid or whatever, especially when your husband's there, who's there to handle it, that's not necessarily the priority in the moment. Right. And that I understand, because, when we were just away on vacation, you and I left the boys for a few hours to go to lunch and stuff like that, and we met some young guys who aren't parents, and they were just man, that's crazy, that's so inspirational that you guys are on vacation, but you still left for a couple hours for you and your wife to still hang out and we went to this pool thing, and they have a restaurant and all that, and then you can go swim after you're at the restaurant. And he just man, I don't, he's he's probably in his mid to late 20s and we're in our mid 30s. He was just man, it's really inspirational. I'm not married or anything, but I would think that being a parent, having children as young as yours, that everything's just about them all the time. And I told him no, everything. Our kids are very healthy. Our kids are very confident. The people we trust our kids with, we trust them very well and go through a thorough process of trust with them. And most of the time it's just family. But in that same regard, I told them if me and Ashley don't have these 4 hours together, then the 5 days we have with our kids is great, but it is just about them. Every time we're around them, we're just thinking about them, and we tend to run our family pretty hard. So when our kids go to sleep, we go to sleep. We don't hang out much later. Our boys go to sleep pretty late at night. So when they're not in school, but when they're in school, but even we go to bed early when they're in school, because we don't like mornings either. So we wake up early too. So in that regard, we have to get away from them in order for we don't put them to bed, and then sometimes we do, but it's very rare. We'll go watch a movie or something like that. Most of the time it's we need my mom to watch them for 5 hours or your mom to watch them for 5 years so we can get that time. Right. So I just, that made me think of bringing up, whether it be faith, family, fitness, all that kind of stuff like that, how easy it is. And 90% of our time don't get it twisted, is for our children. Teaching them how to ride bikes, teaching them how to swim, getting them ready for school. Everything we do. Matthias is in soccer. Thomas wants to start playing soccer, and so 90% of our energy and our conversation outside of our jobs is about raising our kids.
Yeah.
So give yourself the 10% to prioritize your marriage, but also supporting your marriage in hobbies, sports, whatever. Even back in the day when I got into a season, for about maybe 2 years, I got into gaming at night, and you would put Matthias to bed so that I could go, and because most guys worked, so like we all don't get on till our kids start going to bed, and you'd be like, almost every night, you'd be like, I'll put Matthias to bed, you go game. And so it kind of only lasted maybe 2 years, but it was 2 years, 4 days a week, and you supported it. You weren't like, oh, you're so childish or whatever. And we still make jokes with each other.
No,
but
I'd be
still,
like, did you win?
Yeah, you're like, you better at least be good and win. Don't embarrass me, But it's just having that support of whatever I've been interested in, and you vice versa. It's having that support. Now for at least 4 years, it's pretty much been golf and stuff like that. And you've supported. I'll take the kids to school so that you can go get a tea time or whatever it may be. Since I'm only off on Mondays and stuff like that. And so it's supporting your spouse. Say, hey, what are you passionate about? What do you like? Making sure that it's not tit for tat, but there's balance. About saying, hey, if you get your time and because that was the difference for me and you. You were like, but if you worked out, I worked out. And I'd be like, but you enjoy working out.
Right.
I don't.
Yes.
So you get that as a hobby. If I'm going to work out, it's for my health. I actually need a hobby that I actually enjoy for decompressing. Working out doesn't decompress me like it may for you or whatever else. I'm like, golf does that. Or at the time, video games did that. Or simply for me, I'm a very sociable person. So like just being with my friends, going to dinner with my friends, going out to LA with my brother, Nathan for dinner with a couple friends, or even just me and you going to dinner with our friends. Like that is so decompressing for me. I enjoy that. Like when people are like, Adam, what's your hobby? I'm like, going out to eat with my friends, just laughing and hanging out. Like that is what I enjoy. Where other people are like, oh, I do hikes, I do bike riding, all that kind of stuff like that. Everything else I do, it's just, family related. So it's being aware of like the difference between what's important for your health, what is a hobby for you. Thank God if they both merge, like that's great, but that's not always the case. So supporting your spouse and being aware of what those things are and what they may need, Yeah,
and also encouraging your spouse in those seasons of like, when you see that they've been grinding so hard, like encouraging them to make sure they have an outlet or a hobby. Because I think once you get so stagnant into working and not having an outlet, that's when strife can happen. That's when discord can happen. That's when there is no unity between the two of you, because the husband's just working, or the wife is just working, or the mom is just a stay-at-home mom and doesn't feel like she can decompress from anything. And coming home and then having to cook and clean and all of those things is making sure that you are always taking accountability for yourself to make sure that you're well as well, to make sure your mental state as well. So having those healthy conversations, like I hope this definitely brings up conversations to be like, hey, you really don't have a hobby. Like, what would you consider your hobby? Like, and it can't be shopping or online shopping.
Right.
Like, what actually can you do to get your body moving, or that you enjoy that we don't do enough of?
Yeah.
Could it be us working out together, or could it be going out to eat with friends? And just having that open dialogue to be honest and not bitter when someone says like, hey, you know what? I want to go hang out with my boys.
Yeah.
And it doesn't involve you.
Yeah.
Be like, perfect. When you say it's a boys' night, I'm like, great. I'm going to take my kids to my mom's and I'm having a alone night.
Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah. So.
You
no,
ready to land
good.
it?
Yeah. That was
ready
good.
To land it?
Yeah.
Unless you had something else.
Oh, no, I don't. That was good.
Okay, good. Yeah, no.
Leave room.
Yeah, leave room. People add in the comments. What do you do? It's been great, even as it's in marriage, but it also could be, I know last time we talked about friendships. Friendships could, bring the same thing in terms of helping encourage and be accountable in those things. Yeah. My brother Nathan has lost, I think, 70 or 80 pounds in the last 3 years. One of my best friends, Phil, has lost 60 pounds, 12 months.
Great.
Like me, we started at the same time. He went completely like pretty much holistic. So he was like chicken and broccoli. Yeah. And I'm so proud of him, and his family has supported him, and his started as a health thing too. He was on the verge of being diabetic and had a big wake up call conversation with his doctor that I actually was on speakerphone with in the car.
And I called back.
And and then you called back and asked questions to the doctor for him, saying that you were his wife. And so like that's where community helps in that way. Yeah. Same thing with Heron. Heron's lost 30 pounds recently this past 12 months. And then Aaron stays very active. He runs every day. But it's that same thing of that culture of like our friendships, you know. And even for me, I told our men's ministry a year ago, it was like, hey, keep me accountable. I'm gonna get healthy. I'm gonna lose weight. But if I don't, call me out. You know, like if I'm here to preach the Bible, and health is one of those things, and being taking care of your body, that's the temple. I was like, guys, hold me accountable. Like, you don't have to be my daddy. Like, don't come and talk over me or talk down to me, but encourage me. Be like, hey, Adam, how's it been going? We're praying for you, and we really want you healthy. We want, you know, hey, well, and then encourage me as I am doing it, so that I know you care. And they did, man. So many guys did such a great job at doing that. So community, and going back to the church thing that we did last episode, is like, the church for us has helped us with that whole thing, like even our physical health. Right. Our church now has multiple small groups now just about running, and we've done them. There's been ones, Nathan's done one on hit training and all that kind of stuff like that. And so, you know, your community can help also. If you feel like you don't have it with your spouse, you know, you could find it in community in that same way. So hopefully it was a great episode for you guys. Yep. Thank you for joining us. Yeah. And we look forward to seeing, I don't know what the next topic of the next episode is going to be. Yeah, me neither.
I don't even know what it's going to be.
Yeah, no, we don't know. So we'll find out. All right, everybody. All right, bye, guys. Out. God bless.